Your writing. I was curious as to why you abandoned it. Now it was me staring at him. For whatever reason, I was suddenly struck by the thought of a man carrying a flashlight, rifling through the cobweb shelves of a dark warehouse. It wasn't a pleasant thought. Sorry, but I don't understand. No. No, I apologize. It was rude of me to interrupt you. Jesus, now I felt compelled to apologize for his apology. Not at all. It's just what gave you. You seem like someone who writes. He pointed to the lending shelf in the back. You obviously have an appreciation for books. I see you writing here from time to time. I assumed it was your passion. I was just curious as to why you hadn't pursued it. Reasonable. A little pompous. What? Just because I'm working in a five and dime, I'm not pursuing my passion? But reasonable enough to let some of the air back in the room. I gave him the honest, depressingly typical answer, which amounted to life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. That led to a discussion about John Lennon, which led to a discussion about the Beatles, which led to a discussion about Yoko Ono, which led nowhere. We talked. I asked him how he liked the area, how his house was coming, what kind of work he did. He gave me the satisfactory answers to all of these. But even as he did, even as we stood there chatting politely, just a couple of young guys shooting the breeze, I couldn't avoid the feeling that there was another conversation going on, a conversation that I wasn't participating in. I can feel Henry's questions becoming increasingly personal. I can feel my answers doing the same. He asked me about my wife, my kids, my writing. He asked me about my parents, my regrets. I answered them all. I knew it was strange. I didn't care. I wanted to tell him, this young rich guy with messy hair and overpriced jeans and dark sunglasses, this guy whose eyes I'd never seen, whom I hardly knew. I wanted to tell him everything. It just came out like he dislodged a stone that had been stuck in my mouth for years, a stone that kept all of my secrets held back in a reservoir. Losing my mom when I was a kid, the problems with my dad, running away, my writing, my doubts, the annoying certainty that there was more than this. Our struggles with money, my struggles with depression, the times I thought about running away, the times I thought about killing myself, I hardly remember saying half of it. Maybe I didn't. At some point, I asked Henry to read my unfinished novel. I was appalled by the thought of him or anyone reading it. I was even appalled by the idea of reading it myself. But I asked him anyway. No need, he answered. It was, to that point, the strangest conversation of my life. By the time Henry excused himself and left, I felt like I've covered 10 miles in a flat out sprint. It was never that way again. The next time he came in, we exchanged the expected pleasantries. Nothing more. Have a good one. See you next time. He bought his soap and shoe polish. He paid cash. This went on. He came in less and less. When Henry came in for the last time in January of 2008, he carried a small package wrapped in brown paper and tied up with twine. Without a word, he set it next to the register. His gray sweater and crimson scarf were lightly dusted with snow, and his sunglasses speckled with tiny water droplets. He didn't bother taking them off. This didn't surprise me. There was a white envelope on top of the package with my name written on it. Some of the ink had mixed with melting snow and begun to bleed. I reached under the counter and killed the volume on the little TV I kept there for Yankee games. Today, it was tuned to the news. It was the morning of the Iowa primary, and Barack Obama was running neck and neck with Hillary Clinton. Anything to pass the time. I would like you to have this. For a moment, I looked at him like he'd said that in Norwegian. Wait, this is for me? What's the. I'm sorry, but I have a car waiting. Read the note first. I'll be in touch. And that was it. I watched him walk out the door and into the cold, wondering if he ever let anyone finish a sentence or if it was just me. Part 2. The package sat under the counter for the rest of the day. I was dying to open the damn thing, but since I had no idea who this guy really was, I wasn't about to risk unwrapping a blow up doll or kilo of black tar heroin at the same moment some Girl Scout decided to walk in. I let my curiosity burn until the streets turned dark and Mrs. Caleb finally settled on the darker of the green yarns after an excruciating 90 minutes of debate, then locked the doors a few minutes early. To hell with the stragglers tonight. Christmas was over, and I was deadly slow anyway. Besides, everybody was home watching the Obama Hillary drama play out in Iowa. I decided to sneak a cigarette in the basement before heading home to catch the results. I picked up Henry's gift, killed the fluorescents, and cranked up the TV speaker. If there was any election news, I'd hear it echoing down the staircase. There wasn't much to the basement, other than a few boxes of overflow inventory against the walls. It was a mostly empty room with a filthy concrete floor and a single hanging 40-watt bulb. There was an old metal tanker desk against one wall with the inventory computer on it, a two-drawer file cabinet where we kept some records, and a couple of folding chairs, a water heater, a fuse panel, two small windows that peeked into the alley above. More than anything, it was where I smoked during the cold winter months. I pulled a folding chair up to the desk, lit one, and began to untie the twine at the top of the neatly wrapped the letter. The thought just popped in there, like one of those brilliant ideas or observations I kept the notebook around for. I was supposed to read the letter first. I found the Swiss Army keychain in my pants pocket. $7.20 plus tax, cheaper than you'll find anywhere else in Dutchess County, guaranteed. And opened the envelope with a flick of the wrist. Inside was a single folded piece of gleaming white paper with a list of names and addresses typed out on one side. On the other, a handwritten note. There are some conditions I must ask you to agree to before opening this package. First, understand that this is not a gift but a loan. I will, at a time of my choosing, ask you to return these items. On that point, I need your solemn promise that you will protect them at all costs and treat them with the same care and respect you would afford any item of tremendous value. Second, the contents of this package are of an extremely sensitive nature. I must ask you not to share or discuss them with anyone other than myself and the 11 individuals listed opposite until you have received my permission to do so. Third, these items are being lent to you with the expectation that you will write a manuscript about them of, let us say, substantial length and subject to my approval. You may take as much time as you wish. Upon the satisfactory completion of this manuscript, you will be fairly compensated. If you cannot meet any of these conditions for any reason, please stop and wait to be contacted by me. However, if you agree, then you may proceed. I believe it is your purpose to do so. H. Well, shit. There was no way I wasn't opening it now. I tore the paper off, uncovering a bundle of letters held tightly by a red rubber band and 10 leather bound books. I opened the book at the top of the pile. As I did, a lock of blonde hair fell onto the desk. I picked it up, studied it, and twirled it in my fingers as I read a random silver from the pages it's been pressed between. Wish I could but vanish from this earth, for there is no love left in it. She has been taken from me, and with her, all hope of a. I skimmed through the rest of the first book, spellbound. Somewhere upstairs, a woman was listing off the names of counties, pages and pages, every inch filled with tightly packed handwriting, with dates like November 6th of 1835, June 3rd of 1841, with drawings and lists, with names like Speed, Berry, and Salem, with a word that kept showing up over and over: vampire. The other books were the same, only the dates and penmanship changed. I skimmed them all. There that I saw for the first time men and children sold as precautious, for we knew that Baltimore was teeming with, was a sin I could not forgive. I was forced to demote the. Two things were obvious. They were all written by the same person, and they were all very, very old.